Alright, everyone. Let's talk like grown-ups. And while I climb up on my soapbox here, we'll watch me working with my friend Kevin, who I recruited to be the reference model for all the aliens in DvsM 1997. Shout out to Kevin. Okay, on to today's topic. When I was a kid, I assumed real artists, and I'm doing finger quotes when I say real, alright? I assumed real artists were basically geniuses that were drawing and painting everything from their astounding and frightening photographic memories. I would sit there as a 10 or a 12-year-old kid being hard on myself because I couldn't always precisely and exactly draw a horse's leg or King Tut's mask or Cobra Commander's uniform from memory. Clearly I wasn't good enough because I couldn't accurately draw any random noun thrown at me from the dictionary. So I guess I needed to work harder or something. Then one day I was reading one of my dad's art books. It was Boris Vallejo's Mirage. For those unfamiliar, Vallejo is a painter who has done a ton of sci-fi and fantasy book covers, movie posters, video game box art. He's very good at what he does and has tons of work out there. He was very successful. He's a big deal. So I'm going through this book, and it had a bunch of his paintings, but also his preliminary sketches, his pencils, and it also had some of the photos he worked from. He would hire art models, pose them how he needed them, and took their photos, and then used those photos as references while he painted. And I was flabbergasted. I didn't even know this was a thing. And my initial childish reaction was, this guy is corking his bat. This is cheating. Of course, that's ridiculous. This wasn't copying. This wasn't tracing. Usually the models didn't even look like the sexy female barbarians or the brawny demons he was painting. You could tell he was just using them to remind himself of all the little details that give a piece that extra something, that extra magic. The subtleties and small features that really sell a figure. And after a day or two, I realized what a silly and arbitrary and artificial requirement I had put on myself. This notion that everything I drew had to be 100% from my formidable mind's eye. Where did I even get that idea? Why did I think that was important? And I think the person most to blame was me. I think too often artists, myself included, not only we encourage people to believe we're beret-wearing savants. I think we like people to find our ability astonishing and inexplicable and miraculous. We want people to think that what we do is due to raw natural talent and not practice. We want them to only see our best work and never our crap. I'm guilty of this too. Especially when I was in my teens and even into my 20s, I would regularly say stupid things to perpetuate that mystique. People would ask me how long it took to draw something, and I'd throw out a number that was half the actual hours spent. They'd ask how old I was when I drew this thing or that thing, and I'd say, I don't know, 10, when actually I was 16. I liked everyone thinking I was some sort of boy genius drawing in my crib. And believe me, this is widespread, and not just young people doing it. I still regularly see grown-ass adults playing these games. You gotta grow out of that. It's embarrassing. It shows a lot of insecurity, but more importantly, it discourages would-be artists who think they're not good enough because they've bought into this myth of what an artist is. I didn't realize until very recently that some people on the internet maintain 12-year-old me's childish disdain for references. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because every weirdo opinion you can imagine is alive and well in some Reddit thread somewhere. But I'm not bringing this up to debate the anti-reference crowd. Just like I'm not going to debate the anti-digital crowd, or the anti-pre-stretched canvas because you built a loom and you make your own canvas crowd. I don't have any interest in engaging with those folks. It's silly and either immature or a position held for the worst reason, which is just to try and find a way to elevate your own work over someone else's. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to the younger artists out there, the misled fledgling artists who need to hear what I'm about to say. So if that's you, listen up. Real artists use references. Every successful artist you know uses or has used references. In fact, right now, recording this, there's only one kind of artist I can think of that doesn't use references. The kind that would be doing much better work if he was using references. So for whoever needs to hear this, listen, for what it's worth, I'm an artist. I'm a real artist. In fact, I'm a working artist. Art pays my rent, all right? I, the real artist, hereby give you permission to use references. And listen, if you handicap yourself with arbitrary limitations like no references, or no digital, or whatever, that's fine, but you're just playing that game with yourself. Nobody's awarding points. Nobody cares. If you want to do that because you're going for a look, or you want to challenge yourself or whatever, of course that's fine, but don't do it because some gatekeeper shamed you into it. Put out good work, and nobody will care if you were at 800% zoom in Photoshop cleaning up your lines. And likewise, put out lousy work, and nobody will give it a pass because you mixed the tempera paint yourself using your own chicken's eggs. To quote Jerry Seinfeld,
I don't accept the judging of process. We're all trying to get to the same island. Whether you swim, fly, surf, or skydive in, it doesn't matter.
Process conversations have their place. They can be interesting and educational and useful, but ultimately one's process is not the most important thing. Stop being obsessed with the process. Get obsessed with the product. Get to the island. And don't listen to anyone saying you have to make the swim lugging a 50-pound weight. All right? All right. Good talk.